My name is Bo Kim, and today I'll be reading about St. Hildegard of Bingen from Stories of the Saints by Carrie Wallace, illustrated by Nick Thornborough. Hildegard of Bingen. When Hildegard was a little girl, growing up in a small German town beside a river, she started to see things that seemed like dreams, even when she was wide awake. She saw glowing figures walk around her, and she felt a flame in her heart that didn't burn but warmed her like the sun. And she didn't just see things in her visions. She heard and smelled things that weren't of this world, touched them and tasted them. So Hildegard's parents took her to live in a forest monastery with a woman named Jutta, who also had visions. In the monastery, Jutta taught Hildegard to read and write. Hildegard also learned to play instruments, including a 10-string zither. With the other women, she sang psalms and cared for the sick. And Hildegard began to do something else, write her own songs. When Jutta died, the women at the monastery voted for Hildegard to lead them. Hildegard wanted to live a simpler life, with more freedom from the monks. So she asked for permission to move out of the monastery to a simple building in the woods. But the abbot who ruled the monastery refused. Hildegard got so sick that she couldn't leave her bed or move her arms or legs. God is unhappy that the abbot won't let us go to our new home, she told the other nuns. That's why I can't move. Nonsense, the abbot said, and charged into her room to prove that she was faking. But when he tried to help Hildegard up, she was as heavy as a giant stone. He couldn't budge her, so he agreed to let Hildegard build a new home in the forest. Out in the woods, Hildegard and her nuns wore matching outfits made of white silk with gold headpieces and grew a big herb garden full of medicinal herbs. Hildegard was a scientist. She studied the plants they cultivated and wrote about natural history and medicine. In fact, she may have been the first person in Germany ever to write about these things. She wrote songs and hymns for the nuns to sing. She even invented her own language, lingua ignota, and her own alphabet, which she called unknown letters. All along, Hildegard kept seeing visions. But in the middle of her life, she began to hear a voice. It's time to write your visions down, it said. Hildegard was afraid because she didn't know what people would think about her visions or about her. But then she got so sick that she couldn't do anything. Eventually, because nothing else seemed to help, she started to write. She wrote the story of the whole world, from creation to Jesus dying on the cross and rising from the grave, to a great symphony in heaven at the end of history. She wrote plays where the virtues got in fights with the vices, and plays where the virtues all sang songs to the human soul, except for the only character who couldn't sing, the devil. As Hildegard wrote, her health got better. Her reading was read all over her world, and she went on 4 different speaking tours. She exchanged letters with the emperor and the pope, and she instructed an illustrator who produced beautiful pictures of her visions, choirs of angels, the universe full of stars that all point to God, the devil tied up with strong chains, the adventures of a soul as it moves through life, and even the visions of flame Hildegard saw around herself as she worked. Woman may be made from man, she said, but no man can be made without a woman. When she finally died, all her sisters shared one last vision. In the sky above Hildegard, 2 wide beams of light appeared in the shape of the cross. And this time, Hildegard wasn't the only one who saw it. Now everybody could. The end.